When we chose Craft and partnered with Visco on this event, we were super excited to specifically select one of their Visco resident artists to be the speaker. When I first met Beatrice Ursula, we were just so inspired by her energy, her warmth, the dedication to her craft, and just the spirit that she brings. She's a visual artist and a creative consultant based here in Oakland, California. So can you please help me give a warm welcome to Beatrice Ursula?
What's up? Wow, y'all. Okay, this is the funniest part because like the build-up was a bit, and then I didn't know the intro would be like 10 seconds, and now I'm here. So I'm like, oh snap, I didn't expect that. Y'all, I just want to set some intentions real quick, okay? This is gonna be a journey that we're gonna be going on, and it could be, I do have a keynote prepared, but I am gonna go through waves, and I may or may not go through with it, because we're just gonna find our flow. Everything will be tied together, I promise. And I wanna make sure everybody over here, over there, and over in the back can hear me. We good? Nods, yes. Energy, yes. We love it. Okay, good. I'm not caffeinated, but I know a lot of you are, so just bring that energy over here. I love it, I love it. Okay, oh, right, this. All right. We're gonna be talking today about craft. And this is the funny part about craft is when I first thought of the word, now I'm gonna step around, I'm gonna walk around, get that energy out. When I thought of the word craft, I'm like, okay, all right, word, craft. I like that. Popsicle sticks, Elmer's glue, glue sticks, Crayola. My idea of craft was very limited. It's like, basic. And there's nothing wrong with popsicle sticks. You can make amazing stuff with it. But I'm saying that it wasn't sophisticated and there weren't layers to my idea of craft. But thanks to Creative Mornings, thanks y'all. I just went on the website several days ago. I was like, oh, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. So I'm gonna read the definition if y'all don't mind. A craft is the instrument in which the authenticity of your being is being communicated. I like sound effects. Who is reading this for the first time or who is tapping into this for the first time? If you raise your hand, I won't call on you, I promise. Just let me know if you feel it. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah. Honestly, when I read that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like it is your being. It is who you are and it is all the layers of who you are. And so obviously, I couldn't just read it in one line. I had to kind of break it down a little bit. I was like, okay, a craft is the instrument in which the authenticity of your being is being communicated. Wow. Okay, there's layers to that. But that's not something that I understood just 3 weeks ago, even though I had at least a month to prepare for this talk. I'm gonna share a story, if that's cool. Yeah? Yeah, okay. 3 weeks ago, I was photographing my high school's graduation. This is my 6th year doing it. It's kind of a tradition. It's kind of the first time I ever got into photography or was hired. Shout out to my former principal, Miss Belden, who got me into this whole gig. And as I was walking around, just like capturing moments and whatnot, I knew it. I was like stepping towards a teacher who I wasn't super familiar with. I'm not super close to him. Let me just put it that way. And I wasn't ready to catch up, basically. So as I'm approaching him, I'm like, there's no turning back. I'm just gonna capture this moment. And he's like, hey, Bea. It's my nickname, by the way. How are you? And awkwardly, I was like, oh, hey, Mr. I'm not gonna say the name because I'm super embarrassed about this still. It's only been 3 weeks. I'm still trying to get over this moment. He's like, hey, Bea, how are you? It's good to see you again. I'm like, yeah, it's always great to see you. It's 6 years in a row. Let's do this. And I knew, of course, the question was next. What have you been up to? What are you doing now? And mind you, I'm preparing for a show. At Visco, I'm doing a Creative Mornings talk, but that just completely went over my head in that moment. I just was not prepared. I was like, yeah, I've been good. Have you heard of Visco? I was just stumbling. And he was like, no, I haven't. I'm just like, it's this amazing company in Oakland, and I'm doing a show there, and I'm just like rambling, basically. I was just like desperately looking for a way to kind of like make this flow, but it wasn't working. It wasn't working, and you could feel his attention kind of like drifting. It's like I'm not the only one who has awkward moments like this, right? It was like someone's just like, yeah, good, that's good, yeah, good job. So I could tell he was like, yeah, that's great, that's cool, that's cool. Well, it's good to hear from you. It's good to know you're doing well. It's kind of that like, all right, you can do your thing now. You can walk away. And I was like, yeah, no, for sure. All right, I'm gonna keep doing me. And I ran away as fast as I could. I was like, oh my gosh, like that was so awkward. Why did I do that? I didn't prepare my elevator pitch for this gig. Like, I should have figured this out by now. I'm 6 years out of high school. Like, pretty good stuff is happening, but I still don't know how to define what I do. Tell me I'm not the only one who has awkward moments like this. Whew, thank you. Am I really not? I'm not, right? I'm not. Okay, cool. Cool. So that was my story 3 weeks ago. I was like, yo, I'm like 3 weeks away from a talk in defining craft. And here I am stumbling over it because I'm not into formalities, and I realize that. Excuse me, I'm not into formalities, and I'm really more about like connecting with people just like off tops and not really good at answering the question, what do you do? And I'm still not good at that. So that's when I began to understand that we do have layers to who we are. And there are ways that we can kind of find that out about each other without necessarily answering the question, what do you do? Because let me tell you, I'm still not good at answering that question. And I really just like to find, just tap into thank you, tap into conversations with people that are just like, you just dive into it. Water. Give me a second. I drink a lot, but I forgot my hydro flask today, so. Okay. Obviously, this awkward moment kind of revealed a lot of kind of feelings for me. And it took me a whole day to get over it. Let me tell you all that. I was like photographing the ceremony, like talking to myself behind the camera, like, you got this. It's okay. You can recover from that awkward moment. You got this. And the funny part is, like, now it's like, all right, how do I kind of empower myself in these situations where you go through awkward moments where, yeah, you could say that you're doing great things for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you are someone who could carry a title in a room. You can say like, oh, I do this and I work here. But there are layers beyond that sometimes, and you want people to get to know you on that level. But what if that front is not something that you're good at? And then what if that first impression that you make is just stumbly? So this is really the journey that I've taken on into understanding what these layers are to myself, and how, in a lot of ways, doing that doesn't follow the rules. It doesn't follow the rules of networking. It doesn't follow the rules of kind of getting to know others, and you kind of would hope that everything else kind of follows that flow, but it doesn't, right? So that's been my exploration. And I don't really want to follow the keynote, but it kind of helps guide the way. I would say in like 2013, I left. I'm transitioning into another story. In 2013, it was my second year of college, and I was struggling, right? I was out in Boston. I'm from the Bay, or I kind of grew up in the Bay, but I moved to Boston for college. And when you're out in like the other side of the country, you got a lot of independence. You're not used to it if you got strict parents, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say yes to every invitation. Like, yeah, I'm like really passionate about school, of course. Like, but like, ooh, okay, yeah, let me do that. All right, let me do this and let me do that. Okay, cool. I'll stay up till 2 a.m. in the morning, like doing this assignment, keep my door open, let everybody just kind of say hello and socialize. And what I didn't realize is that really kind of bit me in the, you know what I'm saying? Because I was struggling in school. Not that I wasn't passionate, but I was struggling in school. And I had a lot of assistance from staff. They were super helpful. They were trying to get me into time management. They were trying to do all of these things to help me, but something just wasn't working out well. And I couldn't figure it out. I was passionate. I wanted to learn. I was in class and I wanted to talk about things and I wanted everyone to be engaged, but there was just something that was like pulling me back from getting myself in alignment. And so this is around 2012 when I discovered, or like I started to research about ADHD. And thankfully there was an answer to all of my like questions about why am I just not figuring this out? Like I was doing decent in high school. Why am I not figuring this out? And so, whew, I didn't think I would be talking about this. So pardon me if it's gonna be a little emotional at times, or if it might be. This is the period in time where I started to realize that there are questions that I needed to answer about myself, about internally how I operate as a being. Because if you're creative and people see so much potential in you, and they're just like, oh yeah, you take photos, do this work. You draw, do this work. And it seems so simple, right? You just start a business. And you start to build that and you build your brand and you get your the business card, which I had in 2013, that's why I'm forgetting what it's called. And it's like, it seems so simple, and I totally followed that formula. I totally did. I left college 2013, and I was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. All right, I'm like dropping out, and like, I'm just gonna explore. I'm just gonna move back to the Bay. I'm gonna explore a little bit and just dive into it. I would pull all-nighters all the time. And then I would start meeting folks through social media and then just get tapped into the community, which was amazing. It was an amazing experience because now I get to say that a lot of the opportunities and a lot of the connections that I have now are because of that. But I want to explore the layers behind that, behind creativity, and how it's beyond just the face of like, oh, I'm a creative. It's the inner work that I have to do and the inner work that we have to do to become centered and to become good at what we do. And so that is why, well, I'm not gonna follow this. You know why? Because yeah, it doesn't really it doesn't align with the flow right now. Obviously, like I said, I was doing a lot of this stuff. Like I was doing like shows and whatnot, and I was going on trips back to my homeland, and I was taking longer trips. Like in 2014, I decided to go to the Philippines for 2 months with my mom. And in 2014, I don't know if y'all remember 2014 Instagram culture, but everyone was posting like 3 times a day, which meant that you were checking it about every 10 minutes or every 2. And that was, yes, okay, we remember this. It was tough because good. I'm glad that like we can recall this because I'm not the only one who was like spending 9 hours on IG. Okay, I was spending a lot of time on social media, and like I said, I was always trying to analyze how I felt about that. I'm like, I don't like how I feel about being on social media all the time. And I know I'm not the only one because I've had so many conversations about this. And this is part of my inner exploration of, okay, since this isn't working for me on a mental, spiritual, energetic level because it's distracting, you're like constantly on your phone, you're seeing what other folks are posting and you're like, oh, let me post something like that, or let me do something creatively different. It's always constantly giving you feedback on how you should change, and you're not tapped into like your being, and it's like of what you want to bring out. Is that making sense? And that's constantly what I was feeling. So the journey that I've been on is learning to tap away from, like, pull away from that. But that was not easy. Another story. Y'all ready? Is that cool? Have I been going too fast? Let me know. All right, cool, thank you. I know it's like super quiet, so I love feedback. I love energy exchanges. And this is a talk, so like, we can just like, you could be like, yeah, no, for sure, B. All right, cool, snap, snap, snap. Totally down for that. So in 2015, I'd been back in the Bay for 2 years. Obviously, if I just flashed the photo of like these art shows and like these events that I'd been going to, and like it was a very eventful time. And so it's easy to say, oh, it's mad lit. Like we were productive. You were, doing good for yourself as a creative. But like the fact of the matter is I was doing a lot of stuff and I was like burning myself out. And I didn't realize that because I had so much energy, I had so much drive to like do all of these things. But imagine I was trying to start my brand as a creative, and I was like doing freelance photography and thinking, okay, cool, I can do this as a business too, and also working with brands, and like, oh, I could be a consultant and a muralist and a photographer and do art shows and get my life together and hang out with people, and so, like, you know what it's I don't know what 22-year-old be. Woo. So obviously I got to a point where I burned out. And the story of me burning out was, it was New Year 2015, 2016, like ringing in 2016. And it was just over here, a couple blocks away. I was at a party, and I had some folks in here who were at that. And it was like 12 o'clock, right? I was like wearing a jacket because it was so cold, and I don't know why my body was colder than usual. It's like I forgot the symptoms of getting sick. But anyways, 12:30 hit, and I was just like, whoa. And I didn't even drink. I was just like, okay, I just need to go home. My body is tired. I am worn out. This is weird. I don't know what this feeling is. Went home. I was bedridden for a week. I was sick. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't consume anything. So imagine that my vessel is just clear. My body is just clear. I wasn't taking in anything. I couldn't eat anything. And I wasn't I wasn't even on my phone. I was just like I'm just tired. I can't do anything. After 4 days in, I started to kind of get these realizations where everything was just so quiet. When everything is just quiet, you can hear clearly, like me talking right now, because everyone's so quiet. Everything is quiet, and you can see more clearly, you can hear more clearly, you can feel clearly your life. And everything was kind of just coming at me, and I realized, oh, I could see realizations, I could see everything that I was kind of engaging in my life. I could see flashbacks of all the parties I was going to, all of the work that I was doing. And I realized, okay, I'm like a being, I'm like an antenna, right? And everything that I do, I'm receiving and I'm exchanging that energy. And there's just been so much noise that I haven't had a moment to stop. And my antenna, my being is like, okay, let me do this for you. Let me just stop everything for you. Sometimes when we get sick, I think we like overreact, but we don't realize that it's our body just going, I'm trying to help you out here, trying to like balance everything out for you. So this revealed, like, this was a moment for me. This was like a big moment for me in realizing, okay, I need to just like chill out a little bit. I didn't that year. I still kind of went hard, but it's okay. Like you learned, you kind of learn, and you kind of steadily get into it. You understand? Okay. You realize something and then you keep going until you just hit. Like you're just all the way down there and you're finally like, okay, you're right. I'm gonna get it together. I hit that moment and then I hit another moment, and I finally hit these moments where I kind of started to piece together who I am as a being and what I need. And it's not just about the work that I do. It's not just about the work that I put out there and how much I post on social media and how many projects that I'm doing and how many shows that I'm doing and kind of the way that I'm building the business of who I am and my craft. It's the layers of that and how I come, like I said, from a centered place and how I explore my identity as a person. That's the shifts in the process. This is when I began to integrate like the inner workings and understandings of who I am as a person, and that was not easy because the kind of dimensions of that is like learning how to meditate, learning how to be grateful, because you have a mindset that kind of holds you back. You get frustrated, you get kind of worn down with yourself, you get critical of yourself, just like I was 3 weeks ago with my teacher being like, oh man, I didn't know what I was doing, oh my gosh. But I had to pep talk myself out of that. And that's something that we have to practice, pep talking ourselves, if we're used to kind of not kind of putting ourselves, if we're used to kind of putting ourselves down, because we learned that from places and we learned that from people, and that's a whole nother conversation. That's why this is 20 minutes. So I'm really trying to explore all of these, but I can't. But there are layers that I'm exploring of who I am and my being. And I also go back to the Philippines. I also go back to my homeland. And as the longer I spend there, the longer time I spend there and getting to know my mom and her side of the family, I get to realize, oh, my great uncle was a photographer and he sculpted and he wrote poems. Oh, like the person that like my grandfather, he said, if you want to be happy, like plant a tree, make a home, and write a poem. Oh, okay, I kind of understand why I am the way I am now and why I just want to live by the river and not, be like in business all the time. But it's hard when you're in an environment where many people are saying to you, yeah, you're a photographer, start a business. You're an artist, do this, do that. And so this journey of following my intuition, the struggles of it, there's clearly been struggles in finding myself and in knowing that there is a path set out for you, even though it's not clearly definable by the immediate environment that you're in. There's no title that I can put on it on a business card necessarily. In 2013, it said explore, and I still think that's true. But I think that it ebbs and flows, and that as you're discovering yourself, you can kind of, breathe in and breathe out and kind of mold into different things. And there probably is a place for you, even if it's not right here. And you don't have to rush that process. And I'm realizing I don't have to rush that process. At 25 in the 1950s, an artist was probably living 7 years in another country, and like no one would hear from them because they're just like, we didn't have social media. But now the immediacy of social media makes people want to be like, what are you up to? You haven't posted in a week. You haven't posted in 3 months. Are you good? Like, yeah, I'm actually like great. But like, there's just so much to catch up on that we can't even go there, right? And so that's another thing that I want to explore is just like the noise that we're living in right now. How do we silence that for ourselves, and how do we tap in to who we are and be okay with like the path that we're going on? Yep, I'm gonna skip right through that, y'all. Let it breathe. That's where I'm getting at. I'm gonna revisit. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm pretty sweet. Wow, that was perfect timing. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay. How's everyone doing? We're good? Sweet. Thanks, y'all. I'm gonna revisit the amazing definition of craft once again. A craft is the instrument in which the authenticity of your being is being communicated. Sometimes I think that is, like, sometimes we can solely think that's just the work that we do, but what if it's in the interaction that you just had that influences how well you do the work? What if it's the coffee you just had that like stimulates your being, that makes you more hyper when you're meeting somebody and that communicates your energy? What if it's in the inner work that you do in figuring out who you are as a person and being like, all right, I'm gonna take my time with this. It's not easy to define, but that's my being and that's okay. What if craft and understanding who you are is about forgiving yourself through the journey? What if it's the inner work? And that's kind of what I'm coming to. And if someone were to ask me today, even though it does say visual artist and consultant on the cards, what it is that I do, it's right there. How do I use this laser? Ooh. So, so what do you do? I do what feels right, or at least I try to. And just try to kind of build on my best self. Even if I stumble, if someone asks me what it is that I do, even if they know me, even if it's been like, even if we're introducing a show, even if we're doing a Creative Mornings talk and I'm still kind of in the midst of the unfolding of who I am, that is craft. And we're doing that every day. Thank you.